Oh, I lost myself here. There we go. Well, today it's kind of hot and sweaty out there. I can say that for nothing. And I went to the gym and I was hot and sweaty there. I came outside and it was hot and sweaty. So there's really not much difference. And I'm still sweating a bit. I decided to do my broadcast when I got back from the gym. So here we are. It is, let me see, almost 5:30 Central Time. So welcome to another reading. Today's reading is by Eugene Holden. I knew Eugene Holden when I was in prac training, and it says in his bio here that he was running the World Ministry of Prayer. I think he was not just involved in it, I think he was actually running it. And this is when I was still in practitioner training, so it's quite a few years ago. And he's been an active person in Centers for Spiritual Living quite a while. It says in the write-up he's been writing for the magazine for about 12 years. He's a licensed religious science practitioner. And what else that I didn't know beforehand? Oh yeah, he loves to quote this, and I love to quote it as well, where it says, Ernest Holmes says, "There is a power in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. There is a power in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it." And let's see, what else has he done? He's been involved in lots of things. Been involved in the Diversity Commission. He's a liaison trainer and facilitator for CSO. He's been involved in lots of stuff. And he was living out, I think, in California at the time. I'm not sure where he lives now. And the quote he gave us for the daily guides for September of 2021. Well, it says March 2021. What does it say? Oh, March 2021, I beg your pardon. There's a quote from Lao Tzu, the famous Chinese philosopher from 2,500 years ago, approximately. "Love the world as you love your own self. Then you can truly care for all things." So here we almost go. Here we go. First quote is from Goethe, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, to give him his full title, the famous German philosopher from 250 years ago, something like that. He says, "In nature, we never see anything isolated, but everything in connection with something else, which is before it, beside it, under it, and over it. Everything is connected." But Ernest Holmes talks more philosophically. He says, "Humans are universal on the side of the subjective side of life. And in this way, we're connected with the subjectivity of all with whom we are in harmonious vibration." So in other words, in our subconscious minds, we are connected with the infinite subconscious, infinite subjective, but we're also connected with the subjective side of every human who has ever existed. And we're connected with the subjective side of everything that's ever existed. So that's what he's saying here. And he's saying that, he's implying here that when we realize this, we're in harmony with the ones who also realize this. And it's part of our job, I think, to bring back those who are not in harmony with it into harmony with everything. I think I might repeat the 100th monkey here. Anyway, let's say afterwards. There's nothing we can look at that's not connected to us. The mere act of seeing an object connects us with it. This holds true for the sounds we hear, the fragrances we smell, and the things we physically touch. This is also true for those things that are not on the so-called physical plane. We're connected to everyone and everything that comes into our conscious awareness. It's pretty amazing how we can think of a person that we haven't seen for a while, and within minutes that person calls us, or I would say, contact us in some way, shape, or form, an email, a letter, somewhere. To feel connected, we must let go of feeling separate. This sense of separation can make us feel disconnected from our good, from our peace, from what we know to be the divine, the source of our good. How do we do this? By consciously practicing oneness. Practicing oneness is living as if everything is connected. This is not always easy. Heaven knows there are people and situations we would rather not be one with. But here's the thing. We can be one without being directly involved. In fact, these situations or people can be used for our practice of oneness. And this brings us to love. Through love, not the romantic kind, but he says the unconditional love that created all there is, everything is connected. So in other words, everything is connected with the universal mind. Everything. So if we're connected with it and everything else is connected with it, then by definition, we are connected to everything, which means also that we have the ability to influence things. And our job, Reverend Jesse's always saying it's our job to keep the high watch. So we can influence what's going on in the subjective side of human life, all human life, by how we think, how we feel, how we behave, how we act, because it's all going into the universal mind of which the human subjective mind is a part. Holmes called it the race mind. He meant the subjective, connected universal mind of all human beings. There's a story I've told before, and maybe most of you have heard it before, but it's worth repeating anyway. And that's the story of the 100th monkey. Is it true? Is it an urban myth? Who knows? But it illustrates the point. There were monkeys living on an island, and they would get fruit that washed up on the shore, and they would eat it. But then a smart female monkey decided that she would wash it, I guess in the sea, before eating it. And soon other monkeys started realizing this was a good idea, and they all started doing it. And the story goes that when about 100 monkeys had started doing this, monkeys on other islands around about, which were not physically connected to the same monkeys as the one we just talked about eating the fruit, suddenly also started washing the fruit before they ate it, showing that they were connected. You know, there's lots of examples in human history about doing this. You know, two people, Newton was one, and I always forget who, was it Descartes who was the other? I forgot. Invented calculus, not connected to each other at roughly the same time. And you can look in human history and you can find out that this has happened, that things have been happening simultaneously in different parts of the world. Why? Because they're all connected. And you all know the story that he was saying here about, you think about somebody and then lo and behold, in a short space of time, they contact you. And as I've mentioned, my wife would be watching the TV and somebody on the TV would say the exact word I was putting in on Wordscapes at that very moment. And it's happened hundreds of times. How do you explain that? That is way beyond coincidence. We're connected. So just remember that it influences our behavior. It should do, but it can also influence it for the good, because when we realize that we are connected, we can put all that good stuff into the great human subjective mind. And when enough of us do, then things will start to happen. We will reach that thing called critical mass. And that means when enough people are doing it, it takes off. And the curve kind of goes flat. And when you reach critical mass, it starts going up. And you can look this up. You'll see this happen with lots of things. Happen with television. Went like this, then all of a sudden shut up. Cell phones, mobile phones, lots and lots of different things. Critical mass, and then they just take off. So Our job is to move that curve along to critical mass so that love is the thing that takes off in all human minds. And we are part of helping to make that happen. Eugene gave us a bunch of affirmations. I split them up. I'm one with the all good of life. That's a good one. I'm one with peace, joy, and prosperity. That's another good one. I am the love of God connected to the all-ness of life itself. That's another one. I am one in the, I put God, you can say I'm one in the divine, one in spirit, whatever else you want to call it. So that's really all I've got. If you get our newsletter, our weekly email, then you'll know that tonight is a group meeting on sacred activism. And there is a way in there to actually ask for that link so you can join it. Or info@creativelife.org. That will get you that link. It will get you the letter, the newsletter, the weekly email. So if you're not getting our weekly email, get it. You won't get spam. You're getting it as a blank copy, so nobody else sees it. You're getting it through Constant Contact, and they're not going to share your email with anyone. info@creativelife.org. You'll get our weekly email. Try it. And if you would like to support us in our efforts of more of this, please help us by donating to us. You can find the link in the introduction here. So Reverend Lisa will be on tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I'll be back tomorrow around about 5. So until then, namaste. Take care of yourselves, especially in this heat.